Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So the question is, who is under the mask? It's Ava. Um, when it looked like Sarah was coming to go visit Gwen, she walked in and started sounding like her and everything like that. But then she pulled off the mask, and yeah, it was Ava. Um, Ava tells Gwen that Kristen did them a solid since they helped break her out of prison by solving Gwen's problem with Xander and everything like that. I'm getting to a point where Gwen, some of the things that she's just doing is just not really making a lot of sense. I mean, damn, this woman is this desperate to keep this man in her life to the point where she is considering wearing a mask of his ex-girlfriends just to try to keep him in her life. I'm like, wow, really? And of course, before, as sad as it was, Gwen felt like she was alone. Jack kind of just practically told her to kick rocks, but now she actually has a good relationship with her dad again. Why are you trying so hard to keep this man in your life? But it actually gets, well, I don't want to sit there and say it gets worse because I think that's as bad as it gets, but then Ava is not there saying, you can use this mask, it has a voice thing or whatever, like you'll look like her and everything like that, and you can use this to solve your little your little Sarah problem. But Gwen, like every time she talks, she sounds really stupid. She's like, "So I can use this mask, but I don't understand. I mean, can I really pull it off?" Like she's standing there like second guessing herself. And at this point, I'm like, okay, you got a solution. What is the problem? Like, why are you standing there looking? You have a solution to your Xander problem, to your keeping Xander problem. It's right there in her hands. And she's standing like, well, could I pull it off? I mean, I don't know. And granted, I understand it to some extent, but she just, here's the thing, she sounded really stupid. Like, she didn't even know if she can even put it on or if she's even capable of doing it. I was like, you're capable of doing all this other stuff so far, so why not this one? It's like I was the saying before, like when villains turn to become when villains turn into heroes, it's like all their skills and everything like that that they once had just goes right out the window. Um, and granted, I understood it a little bit because she was like, I don't know Sarah. Like, yeah, okay, Kristen knew who Sarah was. Like she knew Sarah, but I don't know who Sarah is. Um, and I get it because here's the thing: if she slips up, it's a wrap. So I understand that the stakes are somewhat high in her case, but just the whole monologuing for a good minute, like, but I don't know if I can do it. I just don't know. I mean, could I really pull it off? Ava tried to put it in perspective. Ava puts it in perspective. Hey, listen, she has a great body. She is a doctor, highly respected. Like, you're you. Are you going to do this? Not like, what is the issue? So, Ava's like, listen, put it on a test run. Do a test run or whatever. So she goes to Maggie's, and Maggie's asking questions, talking about, well, Maggie's asking questions like, where have you been at? Your phone's off. What's going on? And fake Sarah's like, well, I have a good explanation for all that. And Maggie's like, all right, I want to hear it. So fake Sarah just kind of stands there for a good minute, like, okay, well, you got yourself into this little hole. You need a shovel? What do you need? And then she's all like, "Oh well, what? I just want to get away from Xander." And I was left thinking, what kind of lie could she tell Maggie as far as getting away from Xander? Like it has to be something that's believable, but not enough to where the cops will get involved. Like she couldn't sit there and say, "Oh well, he threatened me or he hit me or anything like that." She couldn't sit there and say something like that because it would be too extreme. So what would she actually say? I'm not gonna lie. This whole the minute that they put in this whole Sarah mask, I was like, all right, come on, really? we're we're doing this. Okay, sure. This is stupid and kind of annoying. It's like we got the actress back. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're going through all these hoops and everything, and we're doing this just to keep him in. Let's just put it into perspective. So anyway, Xander walks in, and so now it's like, all right, what kind of lie are you gonna sit there and tell? Now before that, Xander and Abby was sitting there talking to Nate. And at first, Nate was being very wishy washy. At first, he was like, "Oh, when they showed him the picture, he was all like, "Oh, well, I don't think I know who she is." Okay, I think I might know who she is. Okay, yeah, I know exactly who she is, but I can't sit there and tell you where she's at because they pay me a lot of money. She gave me a lot of money to sit there and keep things discreet. But I could do that if I have money. So you know how you want to sit there and do a transaction. So Xander's like, all right, well, pay the man. And Abby's like, why don't you pay him? Xander's pretty much like, well, because I'm broke. And she can't do it because, ethics and everything like that. Even, because at first Xander was like, oh, you're going to sit there and let some sort of, you're going to let your job get in the way of finding your cousin. But Abby was like, listen, I can't do it. Regardless of whatever the reason is for, the minute I start giving money to sources, I'm going to lose all credibility. And I'm running this newspaper for my parents. I can't let them down. So Xander's like, all right, well, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And this is when he's going to go to Maggie's to probably try to get money, but now, you know, he sees fake Sarah, so there's that. So Rafe comes over there because Rafe comes to Nicole's office, and Nicole's that they're trying to lift this heavy ass table because she doesn't want to be reminded of the you know great time that she had on that conference table, on that hard conference table of them doing X, Y, Z. And I gotta sit there and say, damn, that must have been kind of. I mean, did they perform the whole act on the table? Because I can't just like your back. It just anyway. Um, so Rafe comes over there to tell Nicole that he's being framed, and he feels that Ava might have had something to do with it. Now Nicole's like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, and you know, I say it like that, but I understand that like it just seems like it comes out of left field. Um, I remember her saying something else didn't really make a lot of sense with the whole kidnapping, and I get it, but sometimes when as an audience member, you can't but help be like, come on, bro, stop, just stop. It sounds stupid. Stop. Um, so Nicole's like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And, Rafe is just like, yeah, no, but I just have this feeling like every time I sit there and talk to her, and of course they talk about Duke and accusing her of, cutting off Duke's head. That scene was so funny yesterday. But, he feels like there's something kind of off about her. And he asks Nicole, like, yo, have you felt anything off about her? And at first Nicole's like, no, but then she remembers the whole, you know, Ava hugging Rafe and smiling like she knew that Nicole was there, like Nicole was watching. And Nicole, was meant to tell Rafe that she felt like it wasn't like a happy smile, but it was more like a smile that made her feel uneasy. Um, and right then and there, Ava shows up. And Ava's all like, hey, listen, since I got you both in the room, how about we all go out tonight? I mean, I've been sitting there trying to get you, and I've been trying to get you, and y'all both been busy. And it was like, yeah, because they got jobs. And like, you don't yet. So, I mean, maybe because they're busy, because they got jobs. Just saying. But anyway, she's like, listen, I'm not taking no for an answer. And then she was like, well, you don't want to sit there and get on my bad side or whatever. Or not that, but like, she said something similar to that. Like, the Ava Vitali's wrath or some crap like that. And they both just kind of looked at her like, so was this it? Like, is this when she snaps? Um, but she's like, yo, listen, I want to get you involved. I want to get you involved in this dinner. Let's make it happen. So now at this point, they both look at each other like, yep, she is definitely off. Um, Now, over to wherever they tracked Kristen at. So, Kristen comes in there with a gun as Steve, and Steve is like, hey, oh, let's just slow down there for a minute. We don't have to resort to this. We don't have to, it can go another way. Um, Kristen wants to know, who hired her? Like, who hired him to sit there and find Kristen? At first, he's like, was it Xander? And Steve was like, no. But Xander did sit there and ask me because he's looking for Sarah, all roads eventually point to you. And, when it comes to disappearing people, you're always our first suspect. But Kristen's like, why would I do that? Talking about the bond that they have as far as when Sarah gave Kristen back her child. So, they're kind of like sisters, as she was saying it. Um, but she's like, listen, I'll have no reason to sit there and do that. But why would you sit there and think that? So, she points the gun at Steve again, like, hey, I have a gun. So who hired you? So Steve is like, Brady did. And I'm going to be honest, I'm surprised that he actually gave up Brady. He was like, yeah, Brady did. Thinking that you framed him for Philip's murder. And Kristen's like, listen, yeah, I don't like what Brady did, and I don't like, quote unquote, that cow, which I feel like it's, you know what, I'm not even going to go there. But he's like, no, I would. She was like, no, I wouldn't do that. Like, that's Rachel's father, and I'm not gonna sit there and send him to prison, regardless of how much I really don't like him and I don't like her. It would actually make more sense. And she said she was like, it would make more sense for me to frame Chloe than for me to frame, you know, the father of my child. I'm on the run. Who's gonna sit there and watch out for her? No, I'm not gonna do that. You clearly don't know who the hell I am. And with that being said, Steve was like, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. So, since this was just one big old misunderstanding, how about we just kind of call it even? Kristen's like, yeah, no, because you know my location. And, even though Steve's like, well, you got other places, you can go somewhere else. And Kristen's like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. Now, Steve says something to try to get the gun. And when he reaches for, like, the drawer, Kristen has his gun. So at this point, I'm sitting there thinking this whole time, I was like, okay, well, you got your answers, so you're gonna shoot him now, right? I mean, I know you don't really resort to like death unless you really have to, but this is kind of one of those situations where it's like he knows who you are. He tracked you down last time. He gave you up to Melinda, and you escaped. You honestly think that he's just gonna be like, nah, it's cool. You just gonna take his word for it? So what are you waiting for? With that being said, the last scene is Steve on the floor. So I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, wait. You didn't actually kill Steve, did you? I mean, I'm sitting there. The reason why I'm sitting there saying that I'm so surprised because how many times do we see in these soap operas when the villain actually has a chance to kill the main character and they don't do it for some odd reason? For some odd reason, something goes wrong. I'm sitting there thinking maybe Kayla's going to sit there and walk to the room and, kind of get the drop on Kristen and they're going to fight and then Kayla's going to get shot. All these different possibilities, except for the one that actually makes sense, which is, sweetheart, you have a gun. You might want to use it and shoot him. What are you waiting for? He's right there. He's right there. You have two guns. There's no excuse. I'm sorry, but there's no excuse. And so when I see him on the floor, I was like, wait, did she actually kill him? I mean, that's my guy and everything like that, and I don't want him to go, obviously, but I mean, did she actually kill him? Like, did she actually shoot him? I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of looking forward to tomorrow if they actually get to that part. And I almost forgot. So the head nurse, which I keep forgetting her name, sees Kayla searching through her stuff, and Kayla's like, "Oh, well, I'm looking for a Bible." And the head nurse is like, I mean, the head nun just finished doing a GH review. Um, the head nun is like, "Well, the Bible's over there. It's like right in front of your face. So, so there's no reason for you to be looking in there. It's right there." And Kayla's like, "Oh, well, I'm so blind. My husband always sits there and says that I need glasses." And the head nun was like, "I'm sorry, what? Husband? What are you talking about? There's only one husband. What are you talking about?" So Kayla tries to play it off, and there's one point where scriptures are involved, or for some odd reason, the head nun is like, "All right, I need you to sit there and recite this verse. Like, what is your favorite passage, or whatever?" I'm like, "In my imagination, is she giving you a pop quiz? Really? We're really doing that?" Anyway, Kayla seemed to answer her, and guess that was good enough for her. So I think Kayla leaves, or the head nun. If I said head nurse, I'm not doing this again, but I meant to say head nun. Um, I guess she locks up her cabinet or whatever, and she leaves. And that's yeah, she does leave, and that's when Kayla texts Steve about like the update or whatever. But it's too bad because Steve is actually face first on the floor, so I guess we're gonna find out tomorrow. I mean, here's the thing: this guy has been on the show. Well, I'm pretty sure he's been on the show before I was born. I really feel like he's been on the show before I was born. He's been on the show for a long time. They're not gonna sit there and kill him off, I imagine. I also do in some ways. I feel like he's supposed like I feel like in this show. This is just my little theory, whatever. I feel like Steve and Kayla is supposed to be like Luke and Laura of General Hospital. I don't know why, but I just feel these vibes like have they been on like adventures or whatever like back in the day? Because I feel like that's how they're supposed to be in some sort of way. I don't know why, but that's just my take on it. Anyway, with that being said, I feel like that's about it. So yes, with that being said, I think that's about it. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.